Hey, customers, welcome back to another episode of Fast Film where we cover all the news and reviews just for yous. This week, we're going to be covering August 14th through 21st. Let's get into the trailers. So first one this week, there's a little teaser trailer for Percy Jackson and the Olympians. This is going to be that new show coming to Disney Plus on December 20th. They made a couple movies based on these books. I mean, it's a very popular book series. There was two movies a couple years ago. They did okay, but I guess they didn't stick too much to the source material. Hopefully with a show like this, they'll be able to stick a little bit more to it. I mean, I'm definitely not the target demographic. I think I'm a little too old, but we're probably still going to be watching this show just to see if it's any good.
I'm not watching that shit.
Yeah, I will though.
All right, Anatomy of Fall is a whodunit type film. A woman's husband is found dead outside a farm, and the main suspect, of course, is a wife. And now her blind son is the key eyewitness. This one looks a little bit interesting. The trailer shows that it has been getting some pretty good reviews, but I'm kind of curious, how is a blind kid going to be a key eyewitness to this? Let me know your thoughts on this one in the comments.
Yeah, I was wondering. Normally we wouldn't cover this kind of thing, but there was a promo for the last episode of Riverdale. I can't believe this show still fucking exists. It's been on for like 7 years. These kids have gone through so much bullshit. They've traveled through time. I think they got superpowers in one season. They've been in different universes. This series is finally ending on August 23rd, and I think it's about time to put this one out to pasture.
Isn't this like the Archie comics people?
It is.
Shit?
Dude, this show
God, that's from the newspaper.
Crazy. Dude, Jessica watched it for a little bit, and it's a lot.
Right. Another Walking Dead trailer release, but this time it's not a spinoff. It's not a show. It's actually for a video game. Destinies is a new Walking Dead game that is kind of choice driven, and it lets you pretty much rewrite the story from season 1 to 4. And the trailer shows when Rick kills Shane in the farm area, but it rewinds after he dies, and it shows Shane killing Rick. I'm definitely going to check this one out when it releases, and let us know if you guys would actually be interested in us watching or reviewing video games on this down the road. That'd be kind of fun to do.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it's going to be able to change everything, it almost feels like a little Telltale, but like a Telltale game, but it also looks like there's more gameplay to it than that. So hopefully it's pretty solid.
It'd be nice if they had like Clementine will remember that thing in the corner.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just curious how they're going to do it. But anyway, there was a trailer for Maestro, which is like this new Oscar bait movie based on the life of Leonard Bernstein and Felicia. I'm not going to be able to say this last name right. Montelagri. It's starring Bradley Cooper and Carey Mulligan. I mean, this movie's already catching a lot of hate from the trailer, as you can kind of see in the picture we have here. Bradley Cooper's prosthetic nose is a little over the top, and he's supposed to be playing a Jewish character. I mean, I can understand why it's getting a little bit of hate. Definitely has Oscar bait written all over it. Just from the trailer, you can kind of see it. I'm sure they're thinking it's going to be nominated for a ton of awards, but the last time Netflix did an Oscar bait type movie that was a biopic was that Blonde with Ana de Armas about Marilyn Monroe. And I think she was the only one that got nominated. I mean, I'm sure it's going to get nominated for something, so we'll end up watching this for the Oscars. It's going to be coming out on Netflix on December 20th. And then there's another movie based on a composer. It's starring Peter Dinklage. He's a struggling opera writer. He's with his wife, Anne Hathaway, and she tells him to like go out and meet somebody. And he ends up like, while he's dealing with like his writer's block, he goes out and he ends up meeting Marissa Tomei's character, who like works on a ship or like a little boat. And then he ends up having a one night stand with her. She's obviously kind of crazy. Then he writes an opera about her, and then she kind of like, it looks like she begins to stalk him a little bit. This movie looks pretty entertaining. Peter Dinklage is awesome. We're going to see a lot of him in this, and that movie's going to be coming out on September 29th.
Netflix also released a trailer for their movie named Reptile. Reptile has a pretty good cast consisting of Benicio del Toro, Justin Timberlake, and Alicia Silverstone. Benicio's a detective on a murder case where Justin's wife was murdered, and there's all these other suspects. And of course, he's going to be one of them as well. But I love detective movies, and I love Benicio, so I'm definitely going to check this one out when it releases on Netflix October 6th.
Another Netflix trailer this week was we got a trailer for the new animated Scott Pilgrim show. It's called Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. I mean, I watched this movie first time when I started dating Jessica because it's one of her favorites. So going to see this animated show. It's interesting that they're bringing back the same cast to do all the voice acting. So that's like a different take on most of this stuff instead of going completely different. Scott Pilgrim is a pretty fun story if you're not like, if you don't know what the story is yet. I mean, it's him having to fight this new girl's like all her evil exes, which is kind of fun. This show is going to be coming out on Netflix on November 17th.
I'm definitely watching that shit, dude. I love Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty good.
And also, Paramount released a teaser for Good Burger 2. It's only 36 seconds, but when Good Burger released about almost 20 years ago, it's been about, 27, 28 years ago. But I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I don't know how I feel about this new one since I loved the first one when I was 6 years old. So I don't know if this type of humor is going to still strike with me, but I'm still going to watch it. And I hope it hits my nostalgic bone. But there's not much of the story yet. We just know that it's going to be the same characters, but all grown up.
Your Good Burger was everywhere at Comic-Con this year.
Really?
Like, everywhere. It was a
That's
huge deal.
interesting.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that first movie.
I mean, the fucking skits were always funny.
And we also have A Million Miles Away. It's inspired by the real life story of Jose Moreno Hernandez. And Michael Pena, I love this guy. He's fucking funny. He portrays Jose, a migrant worker who's always dreamed about being an astronaut since he was a child. In the trailer, they show you him like working in the fields, playing with fucking little spaceships and shit, wanting to be an astronaut. This movie is pretty much just him consistently trying to be an astronaut, applying to it, and he's always rejected. And it's just pretty much his climb up because, in real life, he actually did become an astronaut. And this one's going to be releasing on Amazon September 15th. But let's get into some headlines.
I heard Michael Pena was in the last season of Jack Ryan and killed it in that.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it though.
And neither. For headlines this week, so first thing, we got a first look at Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. For people not familiar with that, that's all the Godzilla stuff, Godzilla and King Kong. I mean, Apple TV knows how to like really do a good show. They just don't know how to advertise well enough. I mean, this looks like it's going to be awesome. We're going to have Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt Russell playing the same character. And we're going to be following this character through 50 years of his life and like going through all these different events with, I'm sure, all these different giant kaiju monsters. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Godzilla movies, so I'm really looking forward to this show. I don't think they've announced a release date yet, but as soon as it comes out, we'll definitely be watching it.
Dude, I love monster shows, movies. It's all fucking great. Kaijus are dope. But let me see if I can pronounce his name right. David Dastmalchian. Some of you may not know just by the name, but chances are you've seen him in a few movies, from Ant-Man movies to the latest movies such as Oppenheimer and The Last Voyage of the Demeter. I first saw him in the movie Prisoners with Hugh Jackman and Paul Dano, and he's great in that movie. But recently he spoke to Slash Film about wanting to play a villain and take on James Bond. That's pretty cool. He said, "Trust me when I say that I can bring something to an enemy of 007, whether he or she or they be played in the way that no one has ever seen Bond brought to the life before," which is, of course, that way you guys always do it. I would be very curious to see how he would go about it, especially seeing him in Prisoners. That he did great in that movie. He's a creepy looking dude. He does great creepy people.
Yeah, I'm sure he would do good as a creepy like Bond villain. So one of the biggest news headlines from the last week is Michael Orr, who was the subject of the Blind Side movie, is suing the Tui family over like they didn't actually adopt him. They just got him to sign up for a conservatorship, which allowed them to just like kind of take millions of dollars from him and take advantage of his story. I mean, there's a lot of stuff coming out about this. Like in the movie, they portray him as kind of being an idiot, like he's like special, yeah, and like. That's not true at all. The reason he was at the high school and they saw him there was because he got in because of his grades. There's just all this stuff that they changed for the story to make it better. I mean, people have been saying Sandra Bullock needs to be the one to come out and say something about it, which is so fucking dumb. Like she didn't do anything here.
Why?
But yeah, like apparently he's suing them for, I think the number was like $100 million or something crazy like that. But I mean, if they really did this, they kind of like scammed this kid or scammed him when he was a kid. So hopefully he can get something that he deserves back.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think from what I heard that the family made like $9 or $10 million, or no, I think like $30 or $40 million from the movie alone, and then from the foundations and shit. That's a whole fucked up situation. I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, me too. And his NFL career fell apart.
But back in September 6, 2021, Michael K. Williams passed away from a drug overdose. And recently, the drug dealer that sold him the fentanyl-laced heroin, which caused his death, has been sentenced to 10 years in prison. It was a pretty shitty thing that he passed away because he did great. He was a great actor. I loved him in The Wire. He was fantastic. It was just shitty to see a great one go like that.
I can't believe that was almost 2 years ago now.
Yeah.
So going into box office news, this is kind of an interesting one. Oppenheimer is now the highest grossing movie to never be number one at the box office. This really just goes to show like when you have like the release date with something like Barbie, who's been number one. And then as soon as Barbie was done, I think Blue Beetle's number one now. You just can make a ton of money. I think they made like $700 million, but was never number one at the box office. It's kind of just one of those interesting things to see. see can happen. And like, I mean, it's a great movie, so it deserved to make its money. It's just crazy to see that it was never number one.
Yeah, that is pretty shitty. But Amazon has recently canceled a couple of shows that they had already renewed for a second season. One of the shows being based off the classic movie A League of Their Own. The second show, which kind of sucks the most, is a Peripheral, which stars Chloe Grace Moritz. And I say it kind of sucks because we here on this channel, we invested our time in watching the whole season one, and to end it on a cliffhanger and then to find out that it's canceled, we won't find any answers. It just kind of sucks. But the show pretty much sucked itself, but it just kind of sucks not knowing the answers. But let's get into reviews.
Yeah, that show wasn't worth your time. So for reviews this week, we'll start with Solar Opposites. The fourth season dropped this week. This was formerly a Justin Roiland project until he was like kicked off because all that stuff that was happening with him. This show really just feels like a weaker Rick and Morty, with the best parts of each episode really having nothing to do with the alien family. Like the best parts of every episode is when they talk about like the people that are living in the wall in like a glass case because they shrunk down humans in the first season, and just all the crazy shit that happens with them. I was more curious to watch this just to see how they handled the Justin Roiland thing. And like the first scene of the new season, it's like, yeah, his character got shot with a ray gun. His voice has changed now. It's Dan Stevens. And then they go like, even in the flashbacks, it's going to be different. It's just science. And then they just move on. I mean, this show's not very good. I mean, I can't really recommend it to people. At best, it's an eye. Definitely leaning more towards a nope. It's just like a weaker Rick and Morty. If you're interested in something like this, just go watch Rick and Morty instead.
That's literally what Nia explained it to me as. She was like, it's pretty much just a shitty Rick and Morty.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah, but unfortunately this week, me and my family got a little bit sick, so we weren't able to go to the movies to catch any of the new releases. Luckily, Frank did go catch Stray, since that was a movie I was supposed to go watch. But a couple movies did release on streaming services that I got to catch at home. And one of them being The Pope's Exorcist. It released in theaters in April, and we didn't get to review that one on here. But it finally released on Netflix on August 6th, and I got to check it out. Russell Crowe plays Gabriel Amorth, who is a lead exorcist for the Vatican. And this was a real person. He really was the head exorcist there. And but he's kind of the bad boy of the group. He's not really following protocol, and he's riding a sick-ass moped with a sick-ass helmet on. So a demon from his past possesses a child and only wants to speak to Russell Crowe. So now the Pope personally sends him to gather evidence and cure the child. Now, this movie isn't a great movie, but it's a fun movie. The graphics are shit. The acting isn't great. I didn't really like Russell Crowe's Italian accent. Frank did. He's Italian, so I'll take it from him. But it's one of those movies that's just kind of so bad, it's entertaining. I'm giving this one an eye simply because it was pretty funny to me. I do enjoy what they're trying to do with the setup at the end. They mentioned in the movie that 200 angels fell from heaven and they're now demons. One of those being the demon in this movie. And now it's up to Russell Crowe to track him down and pretty much send him back to hell. So if we get a sequel, I am definitely watching this one. But for now, it's an eye. Check it out if you want on Netflix.
Yeah, I caught it on Netflix this week. I liked it. Definitely worth watching.
It's good. It's not bad.
So one of the movies I caught up with this week is, a couple weeks ago on Apple TV, they dropped The Beanie Bubble. I mean, we missed something here. This was actually a really good movie, in my opinion. I mean, I'm always down for these kind of stories. Zach Galifianakis plays Ty Warner, who's the creator of Beanie Babies, and he just puts on a great performance. I mean, we got to see like this guy who made these stuffed animal toys and how he kind of like stepped on people on the way to like become this big deal. And then, of course, everything falls apart just like Beanie Babies did. I mean, I'm going to give this a dope. If you have Apple TV, check this out.
Do you think they'll make a Furby movie one day after this?
I mean, after Barbie, I think any toys on the fucking is up for grabs now.
So Cobweb is another movie that we missed on here to review, but also recently got released on streaming services. Lizzie Kaplan and Anthony Starr have a child who hears voices and knocks on his walls in his room, but they keep telling him it's all in his head, it's all his imagination. As the movie goes on, the parents begin to act stranger and a bit meaner to the point where they lock him in the basement as a punishment. But I get it. I mean, he did push a kid downstairs, but sorry, the spoiler alert a little bit there. But without giving any more spoilers, really, this movie has some pretty cool bloody scenes, a couple of twists. The main twist, which I actually did not see coming, was a pretty good one. And I do got to say, Lizzie and Anthony do a pretty great job portraying the parents. They're pretty creepy. They're weird. Anthony Starr, who plays Homelander in The Boys, has its moments where you can see Homelander kind of coming out of him in his anger, which is pretty cool to see. I'm giving this one an eye, and it's a good movie. Check it out if you want. It's streaming on demand for around $7, so check it out if you really want to. Otherwise, I say just wait for it to release for free or get it at Redbox.
So for in theaters this week, I went and saw the new superhero movie Blue Beetle. This character is supposed to be the first in James Gunn's DCU. It's not the first movie in the DCU. It's just the first character. Luis, you could correct me on this one because I know you love Cobra Kai. Zolo Maraduena.
Nope,
How,
Solo.
there we go. How do you say his last name too?
Probably Maridueña.
All right, plays Jaime Reyes, who's technically the second Blue Beetle, but he's the first in live action. I mean, this movie is really just the most standard cookie cutter fucking origin story for a superhero movie. It's all the same beats. It's gonna be the same shit. The only thing they add a little different is they do a lot of like the Hispanic culture stuff and make his family like a huge part of everything, which is well done and I mean adds a little bit of life to it. George Lopez plays his uncle / tech guy. His character's fun at first, which just kind of feels repetitive as it goes on. Like it's just the same kind of beats. I mean, I really wanted to enjoy this movie, but the best I could give it is an eye. It really hits all the origin story tropes. It's like Ant-Man. There's even a part, I'm going to get into a spoiler here. His dad dies, and then towards the end of the movie, he goes into like the other like another plane of existence and talk to his dad again. And all I could think of was Black Panther.
Yeah,
I was expecting for him to say like, you were wrong. You were all wrong, but it had have nothing to do with the movie. I mean, overall, this movie's just going to get an eye for me. I'm sure when it's James Gunn actually in charge of everything, it's going to get a lot of improvements.
And so, like I said earlier, a lot of the stuff I watched, which is streaming, and I was on Netflix after we watched the Pope's Exorcist, and I came across a show called The Chosen One. Never heard about it, unfortunately, especially when we're here to cover all the new stuff. I never heard of it, and I was like, what the fuck is this about? And I got interested in it, and one of the things that got me interested in it was because it was categorized as Mexican. So I'm like, what the fuck is this? So The Chosen One follows a teenager named Jody who lives in Mexico, and we start learning slowly that he has some sort of powers. And right away, we kind of guess that he's like the almighty Jesus Christ, you know? But it turns out that him and his mom have people searching for him. So when they get too much attention in one town, they decide to pack up and leave, get a new life somewhere else. But now they're living in Mexico, and an accident gets Jody attention from the town. Being a teen, he doesn't listen to his mom when she tells him, don't get attention, just don't do it. You know, it's bad. And unfortunately, him and his friends decide to make money off of it and start scamming people, saying that he's Jesus and doing these magic tricks to fool people, pretty much selling them fucking snake oil. And as it goes on, we actually start finding out that he's kind of getting more powers as he's doing these scams. And it gets so much attention from the town, people start following him. They start praising him. And it catches attention to this character named Lemuel, something like that, who's played by Tino Cuarte, who's also Namor in Wakanda Forever. Now, I've only seen the first 4 episodes, and there's only 6, I believe. So once I finish those last 2 episodes, I'll get the full review next weekend. But for now, I'm giving this one a dope. I'm really enjoying it. Check it out on Netflix if you have Netflix.
And then the new comedy in theaters this week is Strays. I mean, it's only an hour and a half long, and I mean, that's kind of perfect for this movie. It's fast, it's fun, it gets straight to the point. Like having it be short is really working towards its effectiveness. Will Ferrell plays Reggie, a dog that his owner is Will Forte, who keeps like dropping him off, trying to abandon him. He just keeps coming back. Finally, after being dropped off 3 hours away, he meets up with a couple other dogs played by Jamie Foxx, Isla Fisher, and Randall Park. And the dogs team up to get Reggie back to his owner. But instead of continuing the game, it's to go like, they're going to go bite his dick off. Like, and it's just a funny movie. It's a fucked up Homeward Bound. And I mean, it is so much fun. I mean, it was really funny. I was cracking up the whole time. Our theater was cracking up. I mean, it's a dope for me. If you're a dog owner, you're going to like this a lot. If you like raunchy comedies, you're going to like this a lot. It's definitely a dope. And then for deep cuts this week, we chose a couple video game movies. Really hard to like find anything worth recommending when it comes to video game movies.
They're all bad.
Yeah, Gran Turismo's coming out this week, which is getting a lot of like praise for how good it is. We'll see when we actually get to see it ourselves. But for this week, I chose the 2007 Timothy Olyphant starring Hitman movie. I'm a huge fan of the games, and they try to like give you some hints to the video games, especially Blood Money, which is probably my favorite out of all of them.
That's the best one, dude.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's a pretty standard like action thriller. You know, there's some sci-fi stuff because like how these like raised. But I mean, Oliphant as Agent 47 is pretty good. good. Like he does a good job at that. And Agent 47 is probably one of my favorite like cold-hearted assassins in
Mm-hmm.
anything. Like I've read even some of the books. It's just a great character. I mean, it's not a great movie, but no video game movie really is. So
No.
I would definitely recommend checking this out if you have the time. It's currently streaming on Stars.
Actually, I saw a video recently that it's his last name is actually pronounced Timothy Oliphant, not
Really?
Oliphant. Yeah, he says it's like an elephant but with an O.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty
Weird.
interesting. But yeah, like you said, with Gran Turismo releasing this week and picking movies based off video games, I decided to go 2 for 1. I picked Need for Speed. It's based off the Need for Speed games, and it's a racing movie. So it's starring Aaron Paul right after the finale of the best show ever, Breaking Bad, Dominic Cooper from Preacher, and also Scott Mescudi, best known as Kid Cudi. Aaron Paul is released from prison and joins a high-speed race tournament with revenge on his mind. He's pretty much going straight for Dominic Cooper, who's at fault for his friend's murder and also betrayed the group. This movie has nice cars, dope races. Story isn't that great, but fuck it, check it out. It's out on Showtime, so check it out if you want a fun ride. Thanks again, customers, for checking out this week's episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts and comments down below. Please let me know what you think about the blind kid being a key eyewitness in this. Please let me know. I need to know. Here are the latest releases coming up for this week.